The wedding hall gleamed with elegant crystal chandeliers, soft music, and laughter filling the air. I, Mia Harrison, watched the celebration unfold with a careful smile, soaking in the perfect day I had imagined for so long. Guests chatted and clinked glasses, the aroma of flowers and fine cuisine swirling around me. That's when I noticed her hand move toward my glass. A tiny, almost imperceptible gesture, yet it made my heart skip. Something felt off too deliberate, too precise. I didn't scream. I didn't react. I did something else. The wedding hall sparkled with flowers, soft music, and laughter. Yet Mia Harrison couldn't shake the tiny knot of unease in her chest. She smiled, greeted guests, and moved gracefully through the crowd. But her eyes kept drifting toward her mother-in-law. On the surface, she was warm, polished, and seemingly supportive, but Mia remembered the subtle digs over the years, whispered comments about her dress, quiet critiques of her family, and those passive-aggressive smiles that always felt like a challenge. As Mia watched her mother-in-law interact with relatives, she noted the careful balance she maintained, presenting a flawless family image to the world while hiding tension beneath. The pressure of the wedding amplified every micro-interaction. Even the smallest gestures, a hand tightly placed on the arm, a faint smirk, or a slightly raised eyebrow, seemed loaded with meaning. Mia's heart beat faster, but she stayed calm, observing and composed, reminding herself that appearances are often deceptive. Despite the unease, she focused on the joy surrounding her family toasts, shared laughter, and cherished memories forming around her. Beneath the smiles, though, a storm was quietly brewing, waiting for the perfect moment to surface. Mia Harrison tried to enjoy the reception, but her eyes kept returning to her mother-in-law. Every glance felt calculated, every smile seemed forced, as if hiding judgment behind politeness. When a waiter offered her a glass of champagne, Mia felt her hand gently guided back, a gesture masked as courtesy but loaded with subtle control. She paused, heart tightening, unsure if she was overreacting. Guests laughed and mingled, oblivious to the small currents of tension threading through the room. Mia's mind raced, replaying tiny incidents from earlier. The faint smirk when her cousin complimented her dress, the slightly raised eyebrows at a toast, the cold glance that lasted a second too long. Each moment, isolated, might have been harmless, but together they formed a pattern she couldn't ignore. She whispered to herself, "Maybe I imagined it," but her instincts wouldn't be silenced. A sinking feeling took root in her chest, a quiet warning that something was wrong. The joyous wedding atmosphere now felt fragile, the calm before an inevitable storm that Mia could sense but not yet name. Mia Harrison felt the heat of every eye in the room, the weight of her mother-in-law's scrutiny pressing down like a silent storm. Words hung unspoken, sharp in their absence, and she realized that reacting would only give them power. With a calm she didn't fully understand herself, she reached for her glass and lifted it, taking a slow sip, letting the moment pass without a single flinch or sigh. Her hand moved smoothly, her composure unbroken. No one noticed the calculation behind her calm, how every movement, every measured smile, was a quiet assertion of control. Inside, her mind raced, cataloguing every slight, every whispered comment, every subtle maneuver that had threatened to unsettle her. She understood something vital. Confrontation in the heat of the moment would satisfy them, but silence could disarm them completely. Silence isn't fear, she reminded herself. It's strategy. Her eyes met her mother-in-law's briefly, steady and unyielding, sending a quiet message that Mia was present, aware and untouchable. In that deliberate restraint, she found clarity, control, and the first step toward turning the tables before the evening was over. Mia Harrison noticed the small tremor in her mother-in-law's hand as she reached for her drink. She had picked the wrong glass. A flicker of surprise crossed her face, quickly masked with a polite smile, but Mia saw it. The subtle misstep was tiny, almost imperceptible, yet it marked the first crack in the armor of control her meal had always worn so effortlessly. From that moment, the room's energy shifted. Mia remained calm, her own smile steady, radiating quiet confidence. Every gesture she made, measured and serene, highlighted the growing unease across the table. Conversations that had once intimidated her now felt like opportunities. She observed, noted, and let the tension rise naturally. Even her groom began to notice something was off. His eyes flicked toward Mia, a mix of curiosity and admiration. Sensing the subtle shift in dynamics, the balance of authority that had seemed so rigid moments ago was beginning to tilt. Each small misstep by her mother-in-law reinforced Mia's quiet assertion of control, her silence proving far more powerful than any confrontation could have. The moment arrived. Mia Harrison remained composed, her eyes calm but sharp. As the subtle tension in the room thickened, her mother-in-law, once poised and untouchable, now shifted uncomfortably. A sudden pallor spread across her face, her hand trembling as she struggled to maintain control. The guests noticed, murmurs rippling through the reception. Staff and a nearby doctor were called over, their concerned expressions breaking the illusion of perfection her mill had always projected. Questions began to rise, quiet at first, then louder. "Are you all right? What happened?" Each inquiry chipped away the carefully constructed facade, exposing cracks that had been hidden for years. Mia remained silent, letting the evidence speak for itself. Messages, subtle manipulations, and previous behaviors, all quietly documented, were now understood by those around her. Witnesses shared what they had observed, confirming the patterns of control and deceit. The room's energy shifted completely. There was no yelling, no dramatic confrontation. The truth emerged organically, undeniable and clear. Guests exchanged shocked glances as the power dynamic reversed. Mia's calm authority, patience, and strategy allowed justice to unfold naturally, leaving her mill exposed, vulnerable, and unmasked. In that quiet, tense moment, the balance of control was restored. Mia had proven that composure, observation, and subtle strategy could achieve far more than confrontation ever could. The room was silent, heavy with shock. Guests exchanged whispered glances, struggling to process what had just unfolded. The polished image of Mia Harrison's mother-in-law, once commanding and untouchable, had crumbled completely. Respect, carefully cultivated over years, vanished in an instant. Mia stood tall, calm, and composed. She felt a quiet surge of power that had been simmering beneath her. Composure all evening. Her decision to stay silent, to observe and act strategically, had paid off. The humiliation that had once threatened to shake her now reinforced her strength. The groom, clearly alarmed by his mother's exposed behavior, stepped closer, placing a protective hand lightly on Mia's arm. Their silent acknowledgement carried reassurance and solidarity. For the first time that evening, Mia felt completely supported, her instincts and patience validated. As the guests slowly regained composure, the weight of realization settled over Mia. She understood that her calmness, self-control, and resilience had shifted the balance not through confrontation, but through quiet strategy. She had claimed her power without losing her dignity, and in that moment, she felt truly unshakable. The wedding slowly returned to its rhythm, soft music filling the hall, laughter resuming cautiously among the guests. Mia Harrison walked with quiet confidence, her posture calm, her smile genuine. No grand speeches or confrontations were needed. The truth had spoken for itself. Boundaries had been silently established. Her mother-in-law, humbled and subdued, no longer wielded the control she once thought absolute. Guests who had observed the unfolding events now viewed Mia with admiration, recognizing the strength it took to act with patience and composure. In that moment, Mia understood a profound truth. Dignity and self-respect are far more powerful than any act of retaliation. She had reclaimed her space, her voice, and her peace without raising hers in anger. As the evening continued, she felt a renewed sense of freedom, clarity, and empowerment. Life had tested her, but through calm strategy and resilience, Mia had emerged stronger, wiser, and unshakable, ready to face whatever challenges came next. Life tests us in subtle ways. Trust your instincts, protect your self-respect, and remember, silence is not weakness. It can be strategy. Strength often comes from patience and composure. What would you have done in my place? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Did this story shock you? Hit like if it did. Subscribe now for more dramatic revenge and betrayal stories. And comment below what would you do if you were in Jessica's place. We want to hear your story.